So I am here today with my daughter Emerson. She goes to college and lives in a dorm, which makes you basically have access to a dorm refrigerator that's
a very accurate size.
That big. And then in your dorm, you have on the basement level, there is like a common kitchen.
There is a common kitchen, although it's kind of a common biohazard. You walk in and there's substances on surfaces and you're not exactly sure what they are. But sometimes you can get in and out and use the microwave, or if you're really brave and you bring your own equipment, which I do, use the oven from time to time. Yeah.
We have an ongoing conversation about trying to be healthy at college, and I know that's an issue for a lot of young adults. So you had some ideas you wanted to share with us about starting your day off right and breakfast, and
yeah.
So what do you think?
I think a common place where college students kind of lose it on the health train is first thing in the morning, unfortunately. Because you wake up and you're stressed and you're running to class and you know you have a ton of things to do, and most people, if they're on meal plan, don't feel like they have time to go to the dining hall to eat breakfast.
Okay.
And honestly, the breakfast options are probably the worst options that the dining hall offers. Even though they have some hard-boiled eggs and stuff, you're not really going to be finding anything that you want to eat. So instead, they don't have breakfast, and then by noon, when it's time for lunch, they're starving, and they do go to the dining hall and have mounds of
Pizza,
French fries and hamburgers and pizza, which they probably wouldn't have gravitated towards had they started their morning with something that was a little more filling
I
and
think
kind of
that's
set the tone for the
really
day.
true. I think you get in the most trouble when you're hungry. Like and I think I've talked about that in other episodes.
Yeah.
Specifically the one where I eat sardines on the rice cracker, which you've had.
I have. I don't think I've ever been that hungry.
Oh, okay, that's not your go-to? No, I love that, and other people are loving it, but you
I'm
don't love it.
glad
That's
other
okay.
people.
It's a personal. Sardines are you get in or you don't go in. Anyways, but I do think you make bad food choices when you're hungry, and that's sort of a given. And so keeping yourself from that place, you're probably going to end up
Exactly.
healthy. So
and it's also hard to make great food choices when you're a little brain dead and you've just woken up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I like breakfast to be all about assembly. You're not really making anything, and you're just putting things together that you can either take on the go or eat quickly in your dorm. If you've just come back from the gym, you can eat it in between shower and putting on your clothes.
So what's your go-to?
So my go-to is normally unsweetened
We'll put it over here.
yogurt.
Okay.
I love Siggy's Icelandic yogurt. It's by far my favorite. I think it has a really rich, creamy taste, and it has no added sugar. It's just the milk, the pasteurized skim milk, and the live active cultures.
16 grams of protein in a serving.
Yeah, which is
that's
another
a great way to
that
start.
really helps you feel full when you're starting your day, good brain fuel. And so in that, I like to put, now granted this is the unsweetened version. They do have versions that have sugar in them or various fruit purees, which I try to avoid because I think yogurt can be a place where there's a lot of hidden sugar.
Absolutely. So we talk about that on this show. That's kind of the point of the whole thing, is sort of revealing the hidden sugars in foods. Like yogurt is actually probably
I think it's one of the
maybe
biggest
the worst
misnomers that people think it's a health food and then they're having 25 grams of sugar and you might as well have had a Coke.
Really have to look at the label, because where all that sugar is in this kind of jelly fruit sugar that gives it the flavor.
So to give myself the same kind of feeling you might get from having something sweeter, I like to put some cinnamon. Now there's lots of different kinds of cinnamon. I like Saigon cinnamon the best because I feel like it's
stronger.
A little stronger, it's a little sweeter. It's also, and this is
I love that you know there's different kinds of cinnamon.
Well, I'm your daughter. Yeah, I feel like that's a really good, there's also a lot of people that say, and I don't use it for this, but say that cinnamon is an appetite suppressant, so it actually helps you feel fuller longer.
I've just heard that it's good for you.
Yeah, and it is really
like
good for your blood, for antioxidants, to get your lymphatic system moving.
Okay.
So always good to put a little bit of that in your yogurt, or a lot if you're me. Sometimes it's too much and then it's like powdery and it's not good. And then I put some berries to just add a little bit more sweetness and get some fiber, natural sugars. I like raspberries or blueberries. I'm actually allergic to strawberries, but those worked well too.
I think people sometimes get a little bit confused about there's natural sugar in a raspberry, and why is that sugar any worse than a teaspoon of cane sugar in this?
Yeah.
And it's because of the fiber and because of the way it metabolizes.
Yeah, and how your body breaks down the glucose. I was just listening to a podcast that was talking about how the sugar in fruit doesn't count because our body metabolizes it so slowly. Whereas if you have a teaspoon or a tablespoon of cane sugar, it goes instantly into your bloodstream and then gets converted into fat.
It's another highly hidden sugar thing that people think is healthy is orange juice. Orange juice and apple juice.
Well, I grew up with my mom saying that juice was like the devil. I might as well have said I wanted cocaine if I said I was having juice. So I avoid juice, but I know a lot of people, they do. They think
we're going to run like a little thing that says, I don't really believe juice is equal to cocaine.
No, of course
not.
But
it is, you know what? You got to call it like it is. And it is, there's no fiber in it. It's just a ton of sugar, and people drink it like it's water. It's a mistake. People drink a glass of orange juice like they're eating an orange.
It's true.
And it's
honestly,
not the same
I think
thing.
the orange is better. Like, I would rather eat the orange.
The problem beyond not having the fiber is that to get a glass of orange juice, the size you would probably drink, you might have to use 4 oranges to juice that much juice. And imagine if, same thing with the apple. Like, are you going to sit down and eat 4 apples for breakfast? Probably not. And then to just try to just down that instantly in 30 seconds is, you can kind of start to understand, oh, that's what I'm doing to my body. And then you can stop. So raspberries, and that's it?
Well, no, I mean, that could be it, and sometimes when I run out of granola and I haven't ordered a new shipment, that is it. But I do like to, especially after a workout, have some protein and also have some complex carbs. I am not afraid of eating carbs. I learned that from you.
Great.
My favorite kind of granola, which is another place where a lot of hidden sugars can lie if you're not careful of what kind of granola you're using.
Yeah, I have some of them here.
My favorite is the unsweetened plain granola from Stone Age Bakery.
Okay.
They're a really cute mom and pop kind of run granola company in California. I order it online in the 3-pound shipment, and they actually just send it in this gallon size hefty Ziploc bag, which seems a little sketchy, but they're honestly, I have such a soft spot for them in my heart. They make the best granola, the only unsweetened granola that I've ever really loved.
And speaking of that, I think it's a good time for us to get to our recipe of the day, of the episode, which is granola.
Yes, it is.
So I'm going to admit, for the first time here, a lot of people don't like to talk about failure. Boy, I made 3 batches of granola.
She did.
Trying to repeat this, like trying to
emulate
find
the same ingredients.
a sugar-free granola that basically is just oats, canola oil. These guys use wheat germ, some coconut, some sesame seeds, some vanilla salt. I sort of tried to stick along those lines. And
do you want me to get them?
Sure.
I tried them a little bit before this episode, and I spit them out.
Yeah, it was pretty hashtag fail.
I spit them out with so much love for you.
I don't like failing, but I failed.
I think
but
failing is a really important part of the process, especially when you're getting in the kitchen, you're trying something new. It's not always going to be perfect every time. And I think thus far, all of your episodes, you've never failed in anything.
Thank you.
This is a very humanizing moment for you.
Thank you very much, and as uncomfortable as it is. But here's what I did discover in my process. Okay, first of all, this one batch that I made was the only batch where I included an egg white. And what I can tell you about that, because you'll see these recipes for granola online, some include an egg white, some don't. Obviously what it did was it kind of did this chunk thing, which I
I love.
Is really
I always pick through the bags of granola to find the chunky parts,
and
because
so
just texturally that's really fun.
That happened because of the egg white. The other ones I sort of experimented with different oils. I was using, I tried avocado oil, I tried grapeseed oil, and the one thing I did differently from this that you like is I used ground flaxseed instead of wheat germ.
And flaxseed has a much stronger taste.
A stronger, nuttier taste.
Kind of
that
dirt. It's like a dirt taste.
I think
Kinda
what
like
she's
that.
saying is my granola tasted like dirt. But here's what I wanted to talk about, because I'm going to give you like just a shot at trying granola for yourself. I'm going to say don't use flaxseed, instead use wheat germ. And basically it's like a cup of oats to a tablespoon of cinnamon, a tablespoon of wheat germ, a tablespoon of unsweetened coconut
Flakes?
shred flakes, What else do you need? A tablespoon of like crushed sunflower seeds, and probably a tablespoon or two of canola oil. And you mix that all up, you put it on your sheet tray, you bake it at 300 for probably about an hour and a half. But here's where it leads me to. These did not turn out great, maybe because of the flaxseed, I'm not sure why. But that said, it made me think, when I think about like these granolas that people love, that I love, but have between 6 and 9 grams of sugar. And the sugar source can be cane syrup, it can be
There's lots of
molasses,
tricky
it can
words,
be
you know,
honey.
evaporated cane juice
Right.
might not sound like sugar, but it really
But
is
it
the
is
same
all
thing.
sugar. I think you have to, we're all used to eating sugar. That's what whether it's hidden or not. And that's what we like. Our mouth is trained, it responds to that. We're like, oh my gosh, I like this food, it makes me happy. When you take away the sugar, you're going to have to allow yourself to have time to not love it. Maybe not as much as she doesn't love these granolas that I made, but to find, to let your mouth be like, okay, it's just sort of blah, and then let the raspberries
Or the cinnamon.
or the yogurt, add to it to make it taste better.
Yeah.
And if you take out the sugar long enough and you let yourself get through that, you and your kids, well then when you go back to sugar, you're gonna find, if you did, which I hope you don't, but you're gonna find yourself going, oh my gosh, that's way too sweet.
I find that a lot now, that a lot of the things I look for, even in assembling this breakfast, is I'm craving more texture than I am flavor of sweetness or sugar.
Well-
I like the texture of this granola, and the sweetness of the berries is totally enough sugar for me.
So-
I find now I eat a donut and it's cloyingly sweet. I can't have
But you
more
like
than
donuts
a bite.
once in a
I
while.
do like donuts once
Yeah,
in a while.
yeah.
A good donut, like an
a good-
artisan donut.
Yeah. Okay, so I liked your clever thing. Show them, you were just saying
Okay.
about assembly. Show them, because I said, the first thing I said to her when we were getting
She
ready.
goes, what do you put this in? What do you eat it out of? And I said, I eat it out of the container. I don't want to do any dishes.
Yeah, of course.
Washing one spoon is enough.
Yeah, okay, I get that.
So we'll just take off the lid. And I like to start with the cinnamon because it kind of, I put a lot of cinnamon because.
That's a lot.
I know.
That's like
It's like
couple teaspoons?
A couple
A teaspoon and
teaspoons,
a
maybe
half?
2 teaspoons, a teaspoon and a half.
Wow.
And then I take my spoon and I like to mix it all around so you can kind of get the cinnamon down to the bottom. This is the fun part where you also try to not spill it on your dorm room floor because then you don't want to have to clean up spilt yogurt. That smells really bad. So then you kind of get the cinnamon mixed around. And then I'll normally add the berries next. And I try to kind of ration out my berries, 1, because they're a little bit expensive, and 2, because when I run out, I need to walk 2 miles back to Whole Foods. I'll maybe use 5 or 6 berries, and I like to push
you
them
really
down in
mush
there,
them in there.
and really crush them up so they kind of infuse their
Oh.
flavor into the
Okay.
yogurt.
Okay.
Also, so they don't spill out over the top. Here, maybe
Okay.
we'll put 1 more raspberry because I'm feeling
Wow.
fancy. And then you have your little lid that you've taken off, so you can rest your spoon on that so
Oh
you don't
my.
get your surfaces,
your desk.
your
dirty.
desk or anything dirty.
Wow.
And I never measure my granola. I know some people do. I don't have a measuring cup in my dorm room. But I use about that much.
Palm full.
Yeah, about a palmful. And sometimes you have to kind of get tricky with trying to not, it's like becomes a game. Trying to not spill it. Oh, I didn't succeed there. Or I'll like open a little bit of it and put a little bit more in, depending on how hungry I am. And then it's not very beautiful, but that is your finished, it's like an ad for Siggy's. That's your finished yogurt. And you can eat it in your dorm or on the go. And all you have to store is your reusable spoon if you take it to go.
I want to try it.
That's a good one.
Wow, it was great. It really great. You were saying that you do this for like the complex carbohydrates to have that energy for your brain and
Yeah,
your
I
body
think it's
in the
important
morning.
to not just have protein. Like this yogurt without the granola has very few carbs. So to get some oats to be breaking down.
And the fiber
Have that
helping
lasted
helps
energy.
your gut and moving
It
things.
certainly does,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So I just because sometimes people are like, why is granola even good for me?
Yeah, and I think a lot of the times granola is not good for you. But when you find a kind that isn't sweetened and does use oats and doesn't have chunks of chocolate and freeze-dried crap in it,
Right.
then it can really be a good substitute.
Well, this is delicious, and the raspberries give it enough sweetness, and I love the crunch of the granola, especially when it gets like a little bit kind of wet from the yogurt.
Now we're going to just stand here and chew.
I talk with my mouth full on this show too much, I think.
So, I said I'm
eating
all
this.
about assembly good. Not having to use your brain that much to think about what you're making. But sometimes, even just assembling this is too much in the morning. You're just too tired. It was a late night last night because you were studying.
Oh yeah, that's what you were doing. You were studying.
And now...
I'm not an idiot. I wasn't born yesterday.
And now you don't want to have to make your breakfast in the morning. So that's where I like to use overnight oats. Right now we have them in this very cute little reusable coffee cup. You can put them in a Tupperware container.
Okay, can you hand me that Tupperware?
Yeah, of course.
So let's show them sort of how.
So yeah, you could have a cup like this. You could have a Tupperware.
So first thing.
So first things first, you'll start out with your oats. And you can really eyeball this if you don't have a measuring cup.
Like that seems like
You
a
put-
serving size.
Maybe a little bit more. We're hungry at college. We're like doing things. Okay. Yeah. So you put some oats, and then your choices for the liquid that you're going to use. Oh, and by the way, the reason this is no assembly is because you're doing all of this the night before you're going to have breakfast.
That's the overnight
The
oats.
overnight oats. So then you add whatever kind of liquid you want. I like to use non-dairy milk. This is a coconut and almond cream that has very low sugar. You can also use unsweetened almond milk, but sometimes it's a fun little college hack. If I go to a coffee shop and I get a tea that I don't finish, I'll bring it home with me with the tea bag in the hot water, and I'll use the liquid from the tea. Say it's like a turmeric ginger tea or a chamomile tea. I'll use that liquid as the liquid for the overnight oats.
Okay, that is really that is food waste like times 1,000. When you're saving your tea,
It's really delicious.
I
We don't want to be spending lots of money while we're at school.
I get that it's a $5 ginger tea and you don't want to waste it.
Exactly.
Like, no, I get it, but I'm very proud of you for
Thank
that
you.
economical awareness. Okay, so I just cover this.
Then, you cover it until it just gets right above the oats. Kind of the way you would if you were going to microwave it to make oatmeal. Maybe just a little bit more. Yeah, that's
Okay.
perfect.
Okay.
And then you can add in, if you want to add in anything else, you could actually add in some freeze-dried fruit like we have here, or dehydrated fruit.
I
Or
like the chia seeds.
you can add some chia seeds because they actually inflate when they get rehydrated.
They get this kind of gelatiny.
Yeah, it's almost like a puddingy sort of texture.
Yeah, texture, and they're really high in protein
They're
and
really
very good for
They
you.
have very healthy omega-3s and
So what
all
would-
good things.
Oh, that's
Oh,
too
that
much.
is way too many.
Sorry.
Here, give me some.
Wait. Okay. Like a tea, like that.
I would say between a teaspoon or a tablespoon if you're really a chia seed enthusiast.
And you just sprinkle those on the
Yeah,
top.
and you just sprinkle them around. If you want, you can take
Stir
your
them in.
spoon, which I will clean off because it has yogurt on it, and you'd stir it around.
Yeah.
And then you put the lid on your Tupperware container or on your cup, and you just set it in your fridge overnight.
So you just put the lid on it.
Just put the lid on it, put it in the fridge, forget about it, and then when you wake up in the morning, you can go, oh, wow,
That's
I've
what you
made
get.
myself breakfast. I was so responsible last night.
Okay, let me try. So that's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
So it's kind of
It's a little bit of a soupy consistency, and it is cold. Sometimes I like my oatmeal hot,
that is so good.
right?
Wow. Okay, so we made this last night, and so this has been in the refrigerator all night. But wow. Okay, I really like the chia seeds. That little bit of that like kind of glidey pudding texture hidden in there, I think makes it. And there's no sugar in that.
There's no sugar. You can take it on the go.
I have to say, you really turned me on to this overnight oats thing. I never made this at home, but after having that, I feel like I'm going to start making that.
I think
at
some
night.
people think it's gonna be weird because they think it's cold.
Yeah,
but it's
no,
actually
but it's,
like a
it's
dessert.
actually delicious. It's kind of like dessert, and there's no sugar in it. This is there's something about the cold as opposed to hot oatmeal. which I
Which
like.
can be easier to eat in
So-
the morning if you're not a morning person.
Thank you for that. Okay, so here's the deal. I have an idea. Since I had hashtag granola fail on this episode, I'm going to try it again, but I'm super curious for you to try it again or try it for the first time. I want to hear if you come up with a no sugar, which includes honey and maple syrup and any cane syrup, any other kind of secret form of sugar, a no sugar granola, and let's check in with each other and see if anybody was able to pull that off. For mine, what I'm going to try oats and chia seeds and wheat germ and shredded coconut and maybe some vanilla and
Canola
some
oil?
cinnamon and canola oil.
I think that sounds pretty good.
I might play with the temperature. I might go up from 300 to maybe 350. That's what I'm going to try. I will get back to you, and I'm super excited to hear if you came up with one that's better, because I don't know everything, but I do know to not eat shit in a box.